And here we go. It's just really interesting because Wendy said she would join the call very shortly.
Great.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everyone who sees this, whether in replay or live. It's a good launch into the new year because our focus is going to be on goals and whatever your dreams and aspirations are for this year. So it should be an intriguing blab. Hope you have some tea ready. As usual, I do.
Oh, we lost your voice.
Is that better?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's great.
I was getting a little bit of feedback, so.
Oh, okay.
Not too sure why. I've got my headset on, so.
But Bette, I'll position a question to you. When you were writing, because you wrote so many books, when you were sort of laying out your plan, you realized, okay, I'm going to have to do a lot of my own marketing, which you came to learn early and often. How did you sort of organize what you were going to do with your books? I mean, there was so much to do. How were you able to sort of plan and organize and coordinate sort of an agenda for promoting your material?
The funny thing is you do a lot of reading, you take a lot of self-imposed training. I read through all of Dan Pointer's materials. I read through Kramer's materials, and then there was a couple of, I think it was the Rosses. I read all their books. And I just added a lot of that stuff in, plus the marketing I was already doing to push training when I was working with Cisco Systems. So, putting all those things together, I realized I had to put a calendar of what I could do each day. And I just chunked at it day by day by day. And, we talked about it before. One of the most important parts for me was understanding who would read the book and then taking all the things I learned and then chunking them into place. But there was that constant learning. I had to learn something new every week, or it wasn't quite every day, but every couple of days, something new would come up that would work really well. So I would try that. Unfortunately, part of what I did is when I set the goals, I was working with a publisher at that time, was the expense that I was putting out for a publicist, for different radio interviews, for going to book fairs. All of that stuff had to fit in, and what I had to have prepared for the book fairs, and then sending the books out for review. When did they go and who did they go to? And the planning is just like, it blows you right out of the water. You're like, oh my gosh, how is anybody ever going to do all of this? But somehow you do. But it's that constant learn.
Your skill has been evident since I've known you at breaking things down into pieces and sequencing things out and categorizing your times for this and chunks here. You can see you've developed that skill definitely over the years of segmenting little bite-sized pieces of what you're going to do. I think that's a huge skill for people to learn, because when you have a big goal or a big job or a big task, it's like, how do you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time. The only way you can do it is to really segment what you're doing. Yeah, my other question for you would be, and this is more around the inspiration side, because for me it's been a challenge not to segment or to chunk a goal down, because there's skills you develop when you're like you, Bette, you develop those skills out of necessity. But it's the inspiration when you still have, now you had one big goal and now you realize it's 100 chunks, is the inspiration around continuing to fulfill what you need to do. What did you do to kind of keep yourself motivated around the tasks that you had to do?
Well, it's really interesting because part of what I did is, because part of my audience at that time were chambers of commerce. So living in the San Francisco Bay Area, there's a number of chambers of commerce around. And I had been the president of a chamber in Fort Langley in British Columbia. So I had an idea of what the chambers were like. So I went to all the chamber meetings. There must have been 10 different chambers. So, your calendar starts getting full. You have to do live networking events and talk to people, talk to the chambers, what you're doing. And, your calendar got really full with those types of events. But the interesting part, most of those were in the evening. So you still had your day to go through the marketing process. Okay, I'm going to, say, the San Ramon Chamber event. Who's going to be there? who do I need to talk to? Are they going to be there? They may or may not be there. You could never tell, but you kind of had to plan even into that amount of detail about who you need to talk to. But since my books were being distributed through chambers of commerce, I had to get to the CEO of that particular chamber, contributions, give out free copies, get connected with, they had what they called the SCORE program, which was retired executives helping startups. So you had to get in with them to encourage them to have people buy those books. So that was just that constant. You got to talk to people. You got to talk to people. And I know as a writer, we want to sort of hide, not talk to anybody, and just write and have that rosy world and have the publisher look after everything. But it doesn't happen. You got to talk. And that was really
Garry,
tough for me.
Yeah.
I was just going to mention, Garry, you because you work with lots of different clients too, plus your own life and your own desires. I mean, it's the balance of, hey, I'm working with all these clients, I've got to organize that, and not only just the multiple clients, but within each one, and then your own life, because we all have our lives too. Yeah. So a lot of us get so focused on our professional life, and that's what we segment and we break down, and then it becomes the thing in our head. Then our daily life, our family, and our kids. We're there, sometimes we're not, because we're so attending to these things that we've scheduled, right? And we get caught in the grid of, so what do you do about that? Or how do you relate to goal setting? Or how do you use it?
Well, from a business standpoint, there's a couple different approaches I take. One is that when I'm setting for myself as well as for my clients, the first thing I do is I work with them on setting their business goals from a lifestyle standpoint instead of a monetary standpoint. So we think about first of what's the lifestyle they want to live, and then we build the goals into that, right? So how many hours do they want to work? What's their income that they want to have? What's the lifestyle they want to live? And then we make their business fit into that, right? And so that's something I've been doing for a good 10, 15 years now. And it's still a work in progress for sure. But it's, the thing that I find that's really helpful, both for myself as well as with my clients, is that some people may know NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. It's a study of how the mind works with the communication of the body and how they all kind of mesh together to create the results we get. And it's studying excellence. And one of the strategies I learned back in, I think it was 95, a long time ago, was one called aligning neurological levels. And I've always found that if I do that on a year-to-year basis, it really keeps me true to who my core is. And I think that's important because a lot of times people see goals and it's based on someone else's goal, someone else's results, or someone else's they should or shouldn't do. And when you can align with the truth of who you are and make everything fit for that.
It just kind of lost some of your voice there, or maybe it's mine.
No, can't hear you anymore, Garry.
It just could be the USB thing again. Not yet.
Maybe you can continue on with what he was saying.
Actually, you can interrupt me as I go too. If we hear your voice, I'll stop. But for now, I'll just continue. I think what you're saying is great, Garry, because it's about when we understand that our values are the things we're trying to fulfill with our chunk down goals, then we don't lose sight of why we're doing it. And that's why I was asking earlier, what inspiration do people have to stay connected with the goal? If the goal is just an abstraction or a goal or a desire, it's not really connected to the essential aspect of what matters to you as a human being. And therefore it's easy to quit. It's easy to give up because there's no intrinsic loss of not achieving the goal. It matters, but it doesn't, because who you are really isn't being affected. But when you're linked to the goal, and who you are is like at stake, it's a completely different commitment level. And I think what you're saying, Garry, is so true about that mindset of seeing the lifestyle, and that lifestyle's got to match the value structure you have. Then you set the goals to fit that. Because if you don't, then the goals are on top. your values are subjugated, and then your feelings are almost even down a little lower because you make this abstract intellectual commitment to a goal that's overriding the reasons that you really want to have the experience. And so some of your family life can suffer, and notice that a lot in life around us, that can happen where the things that we're actually thinking we want more of are the things that are being pushed aside to get this abstraction. So I just think it's important. It's a great conversation, Garry. It's really cool. For some reason, your voice is just dying on it. I'm not sure why. We had a little. So and if I do hear you, I'll talk. I can still hear you, Bette. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Bette, you're there, but it's kind of a delay. There's a lag. But go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's sometimes hard to kind of determine what's going on, the whole thing. But I see we've lost Garry for the time being. But
he'll jump back in.
Yeah, okay. One of the part is that once you've written the book, you're truly invested in it. So you might as well, at that point, just jump in all feet and just really get it marketed. And you have to stay inspired every day. You can't just say, oh, I don't feel like it today, because it just doesn't work that way. Now, Garry, do you have voice back?
I don't know, do I?
Yes, you do.
Okay, I'll let you continue.
Well, you do things, you don't quit from your goals, do you, Garry, when they're connected to your values, you know?
It becomes very challenging to quit from them. And I think that's the thing that is really important, is that when you set the goals, the commitment that you have to it is so important that you can't just put it out there like, oh, well, I got to do this New Year's resolution thing because everybody else is doing it. Number one, doing it just the same time everybody else is doing it is the wrong time to do it. We're talking about it now because it's on people's minds, but I'm talking about it throughout the year with my clients all the time. I mean, it's a regular thing. We're assessing where they're at and what they want to achieve every 3 months. Right? Because so much can change in a whole year. If you set a plan for, okay, January 1st, I'm going to do I want to do this thing for the next, 365 days. Well, what 30 days in, things are going to change.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's always reinventing, learning new things and going in new directions. I mean, you can't help it.
Exactly.
You made me think of the evolution of values, because people think, oh, what do you mean? No, I know my values. This is who I am. And we make the illusion that values don't change. They change constantly.
All the time.
You may value success and say whatever that means to someone. Then you find out through the pursuit of success that you haven't seen your family but 10 hours in the last 60. So is that success? Then you change your values on how you label it or link to it. So I think it is very important that goals aren't this static thing you write down on a page and put on a calendar. They're a living, breathing, dynamic process that you're engaged in. You get feedback from your environment, your life, and you go, okay, you calibrate, is this working for me or isn't it? It's not situational that you're going to chip away at the goal that really mattered to you 90 days ago and then rationalize your way out of taking action on it. I don't mean that. No. I mean being aware that the goal still matches what your intent is, and that you realize, no, that goal is actually taking me way off track of what this higher value is that really matters to me as an author, as a writer, to communicate to the market. I think they're dynamic. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just, part of that is tracking. Now, I know I can be really good at tracking for the first little while, and I'll go in every day and check things off on my computer. But then I get distracted and I start doing other things and I forget about my spreadsheet. This is kind of silly, but you go to Staples or, Office Depot or somewhere, and you get those giant calendars they have.
Yeah.
Sort of the desktop
cover your
calendar.
Desk, those ones.
Yeah, I just post them on the wall, and just having a physical thing in front of me rather than just what I put on my computer, because that relies on me opening the Excel spreadsheet. Whereas here, I see it and I go, oh yeah, I need to do that, and it's just visible. And it's just a simple thing. It doesn't have to be very detailed, but you can track, oh, I didn't do that. Okay. I can expect that won't happen because I didn't do it. Just ideas.
It gets over the out of sight, out of mind problem.
Yeah, well, that's what happens. Yeah.
Quick comment on this. Anyone can respond to this. What is your thought on when you type something versus handwrite it? And I'm especially goals, but anything. What are your thoughts on that?
I think handwriting, because it takes longer, it actually involves more of your body, and your muscles. It's just sort of more immediate.
There we go.
That's a little of that.
So that's my year in retrospect.
That's excellent.
Handwritten
too, right?
Yeah, I'm very well. I'm an educator, so I have to write on.
After all, we're called
because
writers, not typers.
Because you write more slowly than you type, it actually gives you more sort of almost meditation time. Can't hear you, Garry.
Gary's getting killed.
Getting killed
Gary's got a 5-minute life cycle. He's allowed to be heard for 5 minutes, then he's got to reboot. Whether it's the USB or something kind of. Actually, what you said, Wendy, I think that's a great way to break it down. That you do slow down, you get engaged in what you're actually thinking, because you have to process it more. If you're a good typer, well, you can rattle through sentences without really even having to visit what you said, other than me, because I have to go back and correct 20 things. So I really revisit it. But by writing, I find it's just that action is a lot more visceral. It makes me more involved in the experience of creating stuff.
Right.
I think it's very important.
The hard part is pulling yourself away from the computer. I find that I took one day, I said I will not turn it on. And I had to handwrite everything that I was thinking about and what I was doing. It didn't help for writing blog articles, but it definitely helped me sort of like, okay, what's working here from this last year? What worked? What brought in money? What didn't? What can I kill? And I can visibly see that as I'm putting my thoughts together with it. And then it's easier to move on to the goal. But you're right. The physical thing right in front of you, done slowly, keeps it in mind. I'm writing a blog article. I'm in the moment. I write it. I look at the research. I write it. And then ask me what I wrote 4 days ago. I couldn't tell you. It was I hand wrote it. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Good point.
So true.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I think that I definitely became very aware of, and a lot of people in the personal development and the spiritual development arena, where seminars, workshops, those kinds of things. One of the frustrations we had for many years, and still to a large degree today, is that people come to a workshop and they learn all these great tools and skills to enhance and improve their lives, but then they leave and then they don't do it. They don't come. They come back again for the next seminar, and the next seminar, the next book. And a big part of that is because it's not that people don't fire. It's that they don't have the recollection. They don't have the memory recall to keep that stuff in their awareness all the time. And so then they get back to their homes, and the daily stresses and frustrations and to-do lists overtake all the stuff they learned in the workshop or the seminar or the book. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. And so to put things in place that are visually reminding you of what your goals are, to put things in, affirmations are good, just so you have a constant conversation going on, visualization, those are important things, because otherwise you're bombarded by all the other messages that people are sending to you on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Here's a little tip. Anyone want to try this? When you're really serious and you want to check the validity of your belief with your goals, look in the mirror and say them out loud to yourself. Mm-hmm. And you get to see yourself. You'll get feelings, immediately visceral reaction, and you will know where you stand. The clearer you can get in that communication, even if that's simple, maybe you have to wait till no one's around, so I don't think you're crazy in the bathroom, shut the door, but you say it and you will feel it. Just look yourself in the eye and you will know if you believe it or not. And find the ones that you can nail and go, no, I believe that. I do believe that. And then you go explore it. I personally would go meditate on the ones that I'm finding are kind of, they're oscillating. Where is it? Where is it within me that I'm not buying this? And there's this level within me that's out of alignment with me saying it. I can't even say it to me, so the universe isn't going to listen. So that's the biggest thing of setting goals, is to find your belief threshold, I guess, if you want to put it that way.
That's a good way to put it. You say it out of your mouth. Something in here, in your belly goes, you know, you have to explore that. Often we try to mentally just move past it and go, yes, I'm going to do this. But I always say the heart always wins. And that means the subconscious, what your truth is, it's going to win in the end. So even though we try to mentally and use our heads to go in a certain way, you won't succeed if you're not going with the heart, because the heart always wins.
Oh, Garry, we lost you again.
I told you, he's got a life cycle. I think it's down to 3 minutes. He's only allowed 3 minutes, apparently.
I think it's when someone else. I think it's when someone else talks for too long. It just.
That's what it is. It does. It all starts with the man in the mirror.
Go ahead.
It comes back to, Wendy, what you're saying comes back to what I started talking about earlier was, when you're setting a goal, to make sure your truth in alignment with who you are. And really touching base with that, and we only got a few more minutes left on the blab. So, just to share on this, so some takeaways that I think listeners on currently, as well as any reviews anybody watching the replay can get from this, is one is to check your environment. Check out the environment you set up for yourself for when you're writing or when you're marketing or when you're doing sales, and how does that environment support or not support the outcome that you want? That's the first thing. Second thing is then look at the behaviors that you're doing on a day-to-day basis. What are the specific behaviors that you engage in to make sales, to do the marketing, and to explore the options on how you can expand your business and grow your business, right? Then the next thing is you need to look at is what it is you're really capable of doing. Because the reality is that as human beings, we do have certain limitations on what we can and can't do. So we need to look at, are we really tapping into our full capacity when we're moving towards a goal, or are we just...
Uh-oh. Okay, you're gone, Garry. Come back in. We'll let you finish.
But yeah, he's bang on with that, because there are resources around us that sometimes we don't ask for. I was a king at. Go ahead, Garry.
Yeah, so to look at how much of your capacity are you truly tapping into, and that's the looking in the mirror and being honest with yourself and saying, hey, am I doing what I really can be doing to get the result that I want to get, right? Then the next thing you want to look at is your beliefs and your values. You ask yourself, why are you doing?
Yeah, there's something, I don't know if it's USB, it's just some specific thing in his computer, whether it's a headset or...
Oh, it's just living in Chilliwack.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's all the snow out here. It's affecting the Wi-Fi.
That's right. But you better talk quick before you're off air again.
Beliefs and values.
So yeah, your beliefs and values is to ask yourself why you're doing what you're doing. So, because that will give you an idea of what your values are. What is the purpose of why are you doing it? And then, what's true about the behaviors that you're doing will start to let you see what your beliefs are. And to really evaluate, what your positive and your negative beliefs are, if they're supporting and what they're not supporting, and to really look at those things, right? And then this is a big one, is identity. Do you identify yourself as I'm a successful author? Do you identify yourself, or I'm just someone who gets by on on making a few sales? Whatever it is you claim as your identity will dictate just about anything else that you ever do, right? So really looking at what are you claiming as your identity for the goal that you have in mind, right? Mm-hmm. And is your spirit, is your connection with your higher self, your God force, your universe, whatever your name or label is for it, your higher connection, and make sure that is still in alignment with the objective and the goal that you have or goal that you want.
Go ahead.
When you have all of those in alignment, and when you consistently go back to realign those, I mean, you sail through goals. Goals just start to happen, and because things just are easy, because you're constantly living in the truth of who you are.
Yeah, one thing I've learned too is that I've done sales training and been in sales for a long time as well, and discovered a long time ago that it doesn't matter what a person is buying, they're buying a feeling. So it could be a washing machine, but they're buying a feeling. And if you look at your goals as what feeling am I after if I go do this? What kind of emotion will that give me? Because we're looking for some kind of emotional, feedback or a payback or whatever. And sometimes we head off in a direction because it's the cultural thing to do or everyone else is doing it. But if you look at first, what's the feeling that I'm after that I will achieve if I do this? Will this action actually lead to that feeling that I want to experience in my life? And sometimes it won't. Sometimes you'll just go, hey, wait a minute, that's the wrong direction. So that's something important to keep in mind too.
I would say to me, it's the key. Your emotional relationship to your objective is the driver. And with the work that Garry mentioned, that's involved. You're exploring who you are in relationship to your goals. You're just writing goals as another. I don't even do New Year's resolutions. I don't do them. They don't work for me. I just don't like the model. I'm more of I'm gonna do what's right for me emotionally. And I don't care if it's January 1st or August the 4th at 2:30 in the morning. It doesn't matter to me what the time is. It's more of I want to build a relationship with my objective. And if I was to leave, and this blab with one thing to augment what Garry and Wendy said is make it multisensory. To me, the home run hitter is if you do all that work and you still can't step inside your goal and see, hear, and feel it as if it's happening today. It's just a dream. It's disconnected from you. Until we can feel the feelings of what it's going to be like to win, to succeed, to sell the book, to whatever it is, that's the work. We need to do that in advance so we can step inside our skin and go, oh man, that will feel so good. I can taste, I can smell the ink on the book. That visceral. When it's that real, you'll have no problems. You won't have any problem taking action toward the goal because it's real to you. It's not this distant idea that you can lose touch with and I forgot my goals. I bought a gym membership. It's February 4th and I haven't been there. Kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just chunking piece by piece. And like you say, goals don't have to be January 1st. We could set monthly goals and just have an idea of what we want to do in the year. But each month, take a look at our goals and just say, was I able to achieve those? What went wrong? Having worked in Fortune 500 companies such as Cisco, we took a look at all of our stuff. We tracked it every day, but at the end of the month, we took a look. Did we track it? Did we hit what we said we were going to hit our targets? What made us miss that? Where is the changes we have to make? Do we have to adjust that goal, or what do we have to do? And we all have to go in and like Wendy says, step inside the goal and see how it's still fitting or make a change.
That's great. I love your ability to monitor your progress and calibrate between, goalposts along the way. And that's the beauty of teams that Garry was saying about. Sometimes we forget the resources that are around us. We're so focused on doing our own thing. And I've known that in my life. I don't ask a lot for help. And sometimes that's a great skill. It's a skill for me to develop that, there's resources around you. People actually are happy to help. Plus there's outsourcing, there's skills, there's the resources we offer. If you're an author out there looking to, promote your books, that's what Author Success Build is all about, just to build a team and to help like-minded people create what they want in life. It's not easy to do alone. Extremely unlikely, actually, to do alone. So, use a team. Use your resources around you.
Good stuff.
I don't know if you there, Garry? Let's see if we can.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Want to close? You want to wrap up the call? Oh, you were going to. And then that's wrapping up the call, all right. It's quiet. I love it. Can't hear it. Yeah, he's gonna have to reboot. For those of you who are listening that are authors, we do this on a weekly basis, and we explore every topic to do with book marketing. And we move about, but ultimately it's about how to sell more of your books. If you're a writer or a creator of any kind, that's the purpose of this blab. So any last comments, Garry, if you want to take it off?
No, I think you hit it on the head there. And I think that, getting, as we talked about a little earlier, is to consistently put yourself in a position where you have exposure to things that'll move you consistently towards the goal that you're looking for, as far as, from the business standpoint, from the personal standpoint, whatever it is. And for authors, Author Success Guild is.
Yeah, he's just. But that's all good. That's good.
Great place for that.
He's silently. He's doing it even through osmosis. You just pick it up from Garry. You just.
Yeah.
But thanks for
emotes.
Exactly. He's an emoticon now. Emoticon. He's entered the digital world in a personal way.
I'm going to start doing American Sign Language.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
I'll do the silent broadcast.
Sign language.
Yeah, and you got. Anyone who sees this on a replay, you can go to authorsuccessguild.com at any time anyways and learn more about what we do and download some free infographics and learn about some resources that may help you, for certain will help you sell more books.
Yep. All right, I think that's it. And remember to join us if you haven't joined us on Facebook page, as well as facebook.com/businesscardsocial. And, we constantly post when we're doing every Monday, the same time we're doing our blabs here. So join us here for our next topic, and we'll see you then.
Monday at 10, Facebook, authorsuccessguild.com, and Twitter. I think it's Author Success at Twitter. I think it is. It's a shortened version. So thanks for your time, everyone. Have a great day and a great new year. See you next week.
Pacific Standard Time. I'm just going to, every Monday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time is when we do each of them, and we do record it and we post it to our YouTube channel as well. And you can get through it, I guess, through Facebook as well. I'm asking Garry because...
I'll double check that. Yeah.
People who are seeing the replay are seeing it right on the Blab site within our Blab profile, or they're seeing it on YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube, read the description below to learn more about us and get links to content that we.
Great.
You'll find it under @Dr. Bette, all of these Authors Cafe Blabs, and we try to put a lot of information in the messages side, and we try to have everybody introduce each other as we go along. And we have DEF CON 3D joined us, but we didn't have a chance to figure out what you're doing and where you're going, but maybe we can talk to you next week. So thanks, everyone.